They came to Australia to play football. But one moment, standing silent during Iran's national anthem, changed everything. Now, 5 members of Iran's women's national team have sought refuge, fearing the consequences of returning home. What began as a tournament has turned into a dramatic escape for safety. Five members of Iran's national women's football team have been granted humanitarian visas in Australia after concerns were raised about their safety following the Asian Cup tournament. Australian Immigration Minister Tony Burke confirmed that the players had been moved to a safe location with assistance from the Australian Federal Police after requesting protection. The development comes after the team's elimination from the Asian Cup in Australia and follows days of growing concern about the players' welfare.
Last night, I was able to tell 5 members of the Iranian women's soccer team that they are welcome to stay in Australia, that they are safe here, and they should feel at home here. In the very early hours of yesterday morning, the conversation started in earnest. Once that happened during the course of yesterday, it was made clear that there were 5 women who wanted to be able to stay in Australia. They were moved to a safe location by the Australian Federal Police, and last night I met with them at that location. I signed off last night for their applications to go onto humanitarian visas.
The 5 athletes have been identified as Fatemeh Pasandideh, Zahra Ganbari, Zahra Sabali, Atifeh Ramazanzadeh, and Mona Hamoudi. The situation developed after members of the Iranian team declined to sing the national anthem before their opening match against South Korea earlier in the tournament. That decision drew criticism inside Iran. A commentator on state broadcaster Islamic Republic of Iran Broadcasting described the act as a lack of patriotism and labelled it the pinnacle of dishonour. Before their second match, however, the players did sing the anthem and offered salutes. Human rights campaigners in Australia later voiced concerns that the gesture may have been made under pressure from government minders accompanying the team. As worries about the players' safety increased, supporters launched a petition on change.org urging the Australian government to offer refuge to the squad. The petition gathered more than 51,000 signatures within days. Global Football Players Union FIFPro also raised concerns about the welfare of the Iranian team and called on tournament organisers and authorities to ensure the safety of the players. Reports indicate that Australian police were able to speak privately with members of the squad after they briefly returned to their hotel rooms without supervision. The players were then given the opportunity to discuss their options with migration agent Nahmeh Dani. Dani later said the athletes were under significant stress and uncertain about what decision to make. Australian authorities moved the 5 players from their hotel to a secure location on the evening of March 9th. The rest of the Iranian team was transported to Gold Coast Airport and was expected to travel to Sydney later that evening. The Iranian side's participation in the tournament unfolded against the backdrop of escalating conflict in the Middle East. Their campaign in the Asian Cup began shortly after airstrikes by the United States and Israel on Iran that reportedly killed the country's supreme leader. Meanwhile, Donald Trump also weighed in on the situation, criticising the prospect of the players being sent back to Iran and calling on Australia to provide asylum. For the 5 footballers now under protection, the decision marks a dramatic turning point, one that highlights the difficult position faced by athletes caught between international sport and political tensions at home. Could this be more than just a real estate story? Iran's newly appointed supreme leader is facing scrutiny over luxury property purchases in London, including 2 high-value apartments located just yards from the Israeli embassy. The properties, together valued at tens of millions of pounds, were reportedly acquired through an Iranian banker who has since been sanctioned by the British government for alleged links to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. But speculation is already swirling. Is the proximity of these properties, located just yards from the Israeli embassy, entirely coincidental? Or could it suggest a deliberate strategic choice by Iran's new leadership to position assets in the shadow of a long-standing adversary? Telegraph reported on March 9th that the two luxury flats were bought on behalf of Mojtaba Khamenei, the 56-year-old son of the late Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, who was recently chosen to succeed his father as Iran's highest authority. Some analysts are now asking whether the acquisitions could represent a symbolic power play, a quiet assertion of Iranian influence in the heart of one of the world's most watched diplomatic corridors. The apartments are located in Kensington Palace Gardens, one of London's most prestigious and expensive residential addresses. The building stands less than 50 yards from the Israeli embassy and close to Kensington Palace. According to the reports, one apartment was purchased in March 2014 for £16.75 million. A second property in the same building was bought in November 2016 for £19 million. Together, the two flats, which include separate staff quarters, are now estimated to be worth close to £50 million. The purchases were reportedly made through Iranian banker Ali Ansari. British authorities sanctioned Ansari in October 2025, accusing him of financially supporting the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Hamish Falconer, Britain's Minister for the Middle East, said the sanctions were intended to send a clear signal regarding alleged financial support for the IRGC.
Today, we are announcing sanctions against corrupt Iranian banker and businessman Ali Akbar Ansari for his role in financially supporting the activities of the IRGC. This designation sends a clear message. We will not tolerate threats from the IRGC and will not hesitate to take the most effective measures against them.
Investigations by Bloomberg have claimed Ansari played a key role in property transactions linked to Mojtaba Khamenei. The reports also suggest connections between Ansari, shell companies, and a broader property network across London, Europe, and the Gulf. Among the assets mentioned is a £33.7 million house purchased in 2014 on Bishop's Avenue in North London, an area widely known as Billionaires' Row, near Hampstead Heath. Several derelict properties on the same road were also reportedly acquired. Despite the allegations, Ansari's legal representatives have strongly rejected any connection between the banker and Iran's leadership or the Revolutionary Guard. In a statement, his lawyer Roger Gerson said Ansari vehemently denies any financial relationship with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps or the new supreme leader. The revelations about the London properties have emerged just as Mojtaba Khamenei assumed the position of supreme leader following his father's death. His appointment has also prompted wider debate about the nature of Iran's political system. Critics argue the succession from father to son challenges the Islamic Republic's long-standing claim of combining republican institutions with clerical authority. For observers, the discovery of these luxury London properties has added another layer of controversy to an already historic moment in Iran's political landscape, one that continues to raise questions about power, wealth, and succession at the highest levels of the Iranian state.